Hey everybody, good morning. Sean Lahan here. I'm going to go over real quick the process for cleaning and optimizing your Lather King Campbell Latherizer. These are the tools you're going to need: a Phillips, a crescent, a quick little spiral brush, and this acid brush. Very, very important. That's all you're really going to need. Everybody knows that these machines are the best. They're old school, they're made to be taken apart, and they're made to be cleaned and optimized. Mine, I have to clean it about every 4 to 6 weeks. I've cleaned it probably 1,000,000 times, and I can almost sometimes do it in about 15 minutes in between clients sometimes when it's not operating correctly. We all know when it's not operating correctly, it's just spitting a bunch of sludge and no foam. The cool thing is about these guys is this is the way it works. Obviously, there's your reservoir. I grab this little brush here in the morning and I break everything up. Now your lather obviously makes a difference how thick you make it, what lather you're using, but experiment and constantly be messing with the water content, constantly be messing with the concentration to get the best lather. But that's only one part of the story. The other part of the story is the mechanism inside here. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to perform surgery on this guy. It's real easy. It's real straightforward. Like I said, I've done it many, many times. A lot of people don't know that this actual machine and this button right here is a two-part button. Okay, this button right here, on the back of it whips, and on the front of it delivers. And it really does depend on how high this is adjusted. Now there's a little tiny screw on the top of here once we take it apart that the crescent wrench will loosen and lower that screw. If it's too low, it's not gonna actuate. If it's too high, it's gonna actuate, but it's not gonna bounce between the two buttons. So this button whips, and then this button delivers. Just like that. And you can see I'm having a little bit of trouble getting some good lather out of there. Actually, not really. That's pretty dang good. But I'm doing everything one-handed because I'm holding this dang camera in my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a little mount. We're going to take this guy apart and show you how it's done. Okay, great. We are ready to go. We're going to take this thing apart. We're going to clean it. We're going to put it back together. Those are the tools that you're going to need. I've got the machine unplugged and it's empty and dry from the reservoir. I'm going to take the lid off, set it aside. First thing is get nice and organized. This is your button here. It pops right up and off. I'm going to go ahead and flip this guy over and we're going to remove those screws with our Phillips. Nice and easy. Oops. There you go with that guy. There you go with that guy. I actually only have 3 screws in this one. These machines can really deliver long life with just a little bit of maintenance. There's lots of spare parts and replacements you can make out there. But if you got this machine, keep it. They're selling right now for about, $325, $350. I've had this one for a long, long time. So I got those screws out. This housing pops right off. We're just gonna set it right aside and clean it a little bit. And then right here, here's the whole working mechanism. It just sits right in there. I'm gonna pop it out. It stays connected right there. So we'll just keep that connected, but put it off to the side. And then here we go. This is our main housing. So like I said, this is usually the first thing to go. It's always bent and melted and broken and dry, but you really do need it because sloshing or filling or pouring was going to get through these cracks and get down into your housing. You just got to make sure to be real careful when you are using it. It's nice and heavy. It's going to sit in place. So this is what we need to do right here. First of all, just start from the top and work to the bottom. Just like my haircuts, start from the top and work to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and take my little crescent wrench and just grab this little guy right here. Here, I'm going to take the threads off real quick. Just nice and easy. You can get the wrench if you want. I like to use a crescent wrench. I just carry it with me. So I'm going to go ahead and just unloosen that just a little bit and then finger it off. Okay, so what happens is once this top screw comes off, we're just going to set it aside. And then this, if you pull down on this guy, he'll wiggle out and he'll pull down. So what you see is this one right here, if you change the height of this one right here, it's going to make it stick up or make it stick down and lower. So you kind of keep it where it's at, but if you're having trouble, you can push the button up or you can push the button down depending on this first screw, and then the second screw is going to come on top and put it into place. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get towards the end of this. We're in the cleaning mode and dismantling mode right now. We're going to lift this guy up and out of here. Just remember the order. He comes out nice and easy. The electrical stays to the side, And what we're going to do is, if you look right down in here, let me see if I can find the right angle. Right down in here, you got these screws and this screw right here. So once again, pop into your Phillips, loosen that guy, and just let gravity let him fall. And then loosen this guy. Let gravity let him fall. Boom, boom. Nice and easy. Okay, there you go. 2 screws, they're on the ground, put those aside. So what happens is this motor pulls out. But if you're going to see on this motor, there's these pins right here. See those 2 pins? Those 2 pins fit right inside those 2 holes. So that's how you know you can't really put it in the wrong spot. So those 2 pins fit right into those 2 holes. So what you're going to do is keep this electrical kind of grouped away. You're going to kind of pull this straight out. So this is the Teflon coil or Teflon spiral. This is what whips and delivers. This is the heating element. So we're going to have to go ahead and pull all that out of here. There's a black seal in here. Usually you can just reach in there and pull that black seal out. There you go. So pull that black seal out. This just keeps water or anything else from getting into that heating coil side. So now we've separated the motor. We're going to come back to that. We've separated the electrical. We're going to come back to that. Real easy stuff. So now we've got it down to this guy. We don't need to work with this. Unless you're having leaking troubles or anything, you just leave this alone, a good cleaning, and that's all you're doing. This is the plunger. So you see that plunger kind of opens up that little valve down there. So that connects to that. Obviously, you get the mechanism. But you see, here's the key. There's 2 chambers here. This is the chamber that this Teflon coil sits in. This is the chamber, the outer chamber is where the heating element sits in to heat. So that's important. This should stay dry. This is going to stay wet because the water comes through that valve. But so the problem is the space between that fitting in there is pretty tight, but you need that space to be able to whip the lather up. What happens is the lather dries in here and it starts to collect and it starts to build up. And what happens is that space gets shorter and shorter and there's not enough space for the coil here to do its job. So what we want to do is going to get a little bit dirty here. And usually I kind of work over the sink, but since I got my trusty Barberside camera holder, we're going to do everything right here. So a good rinse, a good check of all the parts, and you're good to go. So here's the key. I found that these acid brushes, you can get them at Harbor Freight, you can get them online. They're called acid brushes, are really, really good. For this fact, this is a curve and that's a curve. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to start scraping all of that buildup. And you kind of got to just take your time and chip away and start to collect all of that buildup in there. And you'll see it already starts to collect and come off of there. Now this one's actually pretty clean. I clean it often, so it's not really super bad. But you can get in there and start seeing all of that soap is going to start falling and collecting down there at the bottom. So you want to give it a good scratch. Scratch all that stuff out of there. Get it loose. It's chunky. Just keep on going. Work at the top, work all the way down through the bottom, and you can see the soap. It's mainly just collecting inside. Some of it's going to fall through the little tiny opening there, but you're going to have to keep working all of that soap residue, that soap buildup, the lather buildup. When you shut your machine off at night, it dries. You try to run a little bit of water through it. You try your best, but the soap buildup it's just the nature of the soap. It's going to build up. So now I'm scraping, going all the way around, trying to get all the nooks and crannies. You can see that obviously I'm picking up lots of soap there. Lots of soap is falling. So that gap is very important. You need about a 1/16th of a gap. When your soap starts to collect on the sides and starts to build up, that gap is no longer there and your lather will not whip and you'll be spitting out liquid the whole time. So now I'm going to try to see if you can see all the way in there. You know, we got a lot going on. So now I'm going to kind of take my little brush here and I'm going to ream it into here. Just get all those nooks and crannies. And now you see all that dry soap falling there on the towel that I got. Okay, you're going to push it in through there. We're going to also put it back in here and just kind of dust all that stuff out. You can see all this buildup. And actually, that's not even a lot. If you haven't cleaned, this machine gets cleaned, you know, once every 4 to 6 weeks or whenever it starts to act up. I just take it apart. I give it a good quick clean. And then I'm back in action. But a lot of the machines that you might have out there are not working, and you probably just set them aside, and you probably just forgot about them because they're not working very well. Well, it's real easy to get these guys put back into working order. A little bit of cleaning, a little bit goes a long way. So I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and good looking in there, which it really is. It really is. It's not bad. I know you probably can't see a whole bunch in there, but that's what you do. Get this acid brush. Where did my acid brush go? Oh, it's right in front of me. Get this acid brush and scrape all that stuff out of there, all around the edge. Okay, all around the edge. Let that stuff build up. Get a good look in there. Okay, it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to take it to the sink real quick. Okay, great. Now we're back in action. I've rinsed it in the water with a freshwater rinse. You can see in there it's nice and good and clean, nice and dry, and we're ready to reassemble just as easy as that. I've got all my parts here, my 3 screws from the beginning, my top little screw that holds the button down, the little one that connects to the valve, my 2 machine mounting, and then my top button. I got my water protector for the heating element, and then my gasket for the reservoir, and then my lid, and then my housing. So what we're going to do is we're going to move into this guy real quick. Sometimes you can get a lot of buildup on that spiral, so I like to just take that brush and just get in there and just get all of that surface stuff off of there as best you can. I also like to take a little point and get it into those cracks, but usually not much will stick to the Teflon. The Teflon usually is pretty good. And then see, it's got this little guy here, and it's got one side open, one side closed, so that's the top, and then that's the bottom. So pretty much, this is where it gets just a little bit, you gotta pay a little bit more attention because putting it back together requires a little bit of dexterity. So the first thing that you wanna do is you wanna get this heating element, and this one's pretty beat up, but it still works. You wanna get that heating element in there first. So the heating element kind of slides in here to the bottom. Remember, the bottom chamber is for the heating element, the top chamber is for the Teflon coil. So we're gonna kind of work it in there. What I like to do is work it in there, take my screwdriver, and it'll help me kind of push it in, and then kind of manually kind of push it in. Get it in there as neat as possible. Some of the newer ones are folded perfectly. Kind of keep those folds. Once it's been kind of beat up a little bit, it gets a little bit more difficult. Okay, great. So we're going to finish getting the rest of the heating coil all the way deep and in place. Kind of push it in with your fingers. Get it kind of halfway there, and then push it in the rest of the way with the screwdriver. So see these 2 little openings here? This opening here, that opening there. That's where these heating element leads come out through the top. So this one goes over here, and this one comes in and goes over here. And we can go ahead and push that in there all the rest of the way, nice and easy. And then while we're here, we're going to put this right back there in place, protecting it from any liquid really getting into that area. All the wires are sealed pretty good. This is just a next level, just in case there's a leak or a drip. We don't want it to really get in there. Bam, so there we go. Once again, all of the electrical always goes to the top, so you can kind of get the Teflon coil put in place there with this guy all the way up to the top. We're gonna look for those pins again. The pins are down here at the bottom. Those holes and the pins are down there at the bottom. We're gonna put this in there, make sure that that pins snap into place. There we go. They're just now snapped into place. So you see that, how they're not in place, and boom, they snap into place. Kind of hold that together, and we're going to, first of all, reverse everything. We're going to put everything right back the way we got it. So I'm going to take my 2 machine mount screws, put one there, and my other machine mount screw, put it here, and then take care of those with the Phillips. Couple little turns. I'm kind of holding it all together. Bam, bam, bam. Nice and easy. Okay. This one too. 2 screws. Holds everything together. I'm going to kind of, not getting the best angles here, but you get the idea. There you go. Boy, oh boy. There we go. It takes a little bit of doing. There we go, nice and tight. A little bit of doing, nice and tight. Just keep working with it. These machines, nice and tight. Not over tight, but nice and tight. Okay, here we go. So we're just working in reverse once again. We're gonna go ahead and look at the adjustment of this guy. It should be kind of, you know, you're gonna have to kind of play with this. Not too much here and there, but a little bit higher is better than not too low. So leave that guy there. Kind of force him up and through this little spot there. Okay, now he's in place. I'm kind of holding him here with my finger underneath. Keep this all together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this guy first, like this. It goes down, like that. It goes down, over and down. Boom, into place. And then usually you have to make sure that the rubber gasket is on first, but our rubber gasket's in 2 pieces, so it doesn't really matter. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my little nut here for the electrical switch and just kind of get it started. A little bit tricky, but once it's there, it'll catch a thread. Okay, get that guy started. Get him finger tight. Okay, he's nice and finger tight. So everything's in place. The gasket, the heating element seal, the Teflon coil, the chamber is clean. The reservoir button's working. This is back in place. We're getting ready to put the gasket on, but before we do, I'm going to go ahead and take my crescent wrench and just put this just past finger tight, not too tight, but just past finger tight, so it's nice and sturdy. So once again, the position of this screw will raise or lower that switch, allowing you to have the 2 parts to the switch. Okay, great. So that's really getting it towards the end, and that's really it. So we're just going to go ahead and make the best with this little gasket that what we got. It's all over the place, but we're just going to pop it there. We're going to pop this guy here, kind of get him under there, and we're just going to have to deal with that gap as best as we can, keep it nice and level. Okay, so we're back here with our bottom housing, and our bottom housing is very simple. It's just got a little cradle in there. The little cradle pops it through there and sits right in here with that little gap. So you're going to set it into place, and now it's nice and sturdy. Refidget around with our little rubber gasket. Some people probably just get rid of the gasket, but it's better to have a little bit than have none, in my opinion. And here's the other part, because once this top housing is on, it's going to hold it all nice and in place. Boom and boom. Okay, here we go. We're going to pop this guy back on there. Everything's here. Sometimes, or most times, these have a cardboard cover that has a little screw and a little anchor for the cord. Mine has been destroyed over the years. I've had this thing for 13 years, so it's the cardboard's one of the first things to go. So bam, I'm going to pop that guy back there. I'm going to squeeze it like a sandwich once again. Flip it over. I'm going to take my mounting screws here, my mounting screw there. And once again, I've only got 3 of these, but that's okay. I'm going to tighten these guys up. Nice and snug, not too tight, but nice and snug. Boom, 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 nice and snug. Boom, boom, boom. This last guy here, nice and snug. Okay, we're golden so far. Now we're gonna go ahead and pop this guy back on here, and we're gonna go ahead and spin him up real quick and see what kind of lather we can get out of this guy. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug him in. And I'm going to go ahead and replace the lather that I had taken out earlier. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe a little bit more water, but you can see the pearlescence. You can see the glycerin in there. It's really good stuff. I think this is the Mr. Taylor's. Yeah, this is the Mr. Taylor's shave cream. Fabulous shave creams. We're going to go ahead and pop this guy back on, and we're going to give it a little bit of a whirl. So let me see if I can get the best angle here. We don't need those anymore. We don't need those anymore. Bam. Bam and bam. So once again, this whips it. And this delivers it. There we go. And then once it heats up, it even gets better and better. Once it heats up, it gets better and better. It's right now, it's working really good. Everything's in place. And that's pretty much it. Give it a shot. Okay, I want to explain real quickly the 2 parts to this system. Okay, see, we have this button here. So the back part of the button controls this, which whips. So if I hit this all day long, nothing's going to come out. It's going to whip, 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 whip. It's not until I hit this front part. There's the 2 parts. So there's the back part of the button. Here's the front part of the button. The front part of the button is the valve. So what happens is you whip, 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 and then you release that valve, and that valve plunges the water into the chamber where the Teflon screw will do all of the lathering. So another good idea is to keep this guy nice and full, because this is gravity fed. So if it's not much liquid in there, it's not going to have much weight to push through that valve. So keep that water all the way up to that little spot right in there. You see that little metal guy in there? You fill the water up right to that little guy precisely, nothing more. If you get higher than that, you're going to run the threat of getting up over the top of the seal and into the housing. So fill it up to that little metal guy right there. Keep water nice and full because it's gravity fed. It's a 2-part knob. This knob back here hits the button which spins. And then this hits the button that delivers. Now it's dropping liquid in there. It's delivering nice, good, thick, solid lather. Wait till it stops running. If you take your hand away before it stops running, it will drip. So when it stops running, you wipe your hands, and there you have it. Good, thick, wonderful lather. Okay, so here we are in place, right back at my station. Once again, I'm just gonna show the operation real quick. Everything's working real good. Whip it, whip it, whip it. So inside it's whipping up as much as it can. And then a nice big delivery. There you go. And that's good looking, nice lather right there. If anything's running watery and you've messed with your mixture as much as you possibly can, you're still not getting results, clean that chamber. Clean all that dry soap out of there once every 4 to 6 weeks. Hope you guys are having a great day. Good luck with everything. We'll see you next time.